All right, let's get more on this topic from Nasser Mashni. He is the president of Australia-Palestine Advocacy Network. He joins us now live from Sydney, Australia. Nasser, good to have you on the show. Since you're a founding board member for Olive Kids, I want to talk to you about the situation of Palestinian children. I've mentioned some of the numbers just now. You've heard them, but the true extent of their nature, of the situation, is indescribable.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, firstly, for having me on the show. And you're exactly right. It's indescribable. There are no words for us to be able to quantify, 10, 15,000 children that are dead, the thousands of children that are now going to live their lives without limbs, the tens of thousands of children, perhaps, that are going to be orphans. And if you were to magically create a ceasefire, the Gaza Strip has been so totally delivered an apocalypse by a vengeful, hateful, Zionist, racist regime as to mean that there is no respite for a Palestinian child. In the West, we talk about post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, when soldiers come back from a conflict zone. Palestinian children have ongoing stress disorder. There is no respite for. It's disgusting, and it's an indictment on a West, an enlightened West, that talks about humanity and equality and being a global citizen, a rules-based order. And we see the hypocrisy only last week with the announcement of $50 billion of aid to help the Ukraine in the same week that, the overwhelming majority of Western enlightened countries chose to defund UNRWA.
Right. Nasser, let's talk about an issue that's beginning to gain traction in recent days, and that is the possibility of a two-state solution. We've heard from the UK's Foreign Minister David Cameron reiterate the UK's desire. In fact, in a recent conversation that he had with Netanyahu, he said that we need to start talking about the things a Palestinian state can be, rather on the things that it cannot be. What are your thoughts on terms of what it can look like?
Well, firstly, my friend, I'd like to say too little, too late, David Cameron. You were Prime Minister more than a decade ago. You described Gaza then as an open-air jail. These children's deaths, the innocent men and women that have been killed, that blood is on your hands. It's too little, too late. There is no such thing as a two-state solution. What Israel wants is to cantonize, to isolate Palestinians. There is no hope for a two-state solution. What is required here is the international community that has now been exposed to Zionism for the hateful, racist ideology that it is. Seen, witnessed. Palestinians have known this for over 100 years, what Zionism is. The world has seen what it will do when it's left unchecked, aided by its allies with unfettered diplomatic support and military support. It's time for us to boycott, divest, and sanction this apartheid criminal state until it complies with international law. And one of those international laws is UN Resolution 194 that demands every Palestinian return to their home and or be given compensation. Where there is no two-state solution, there is no hope for that. The sooner we stop talking about it and talking about forcing Israel to comply with a range of sanctions. America has started now by sanctioning 4 extremist settlers. They need to sanction that entire Israeli Knesset, from Benjamin Netanyahu downwards.
Nasser, as a advocate for a strong and big advocate for Palestinian rights and cause, I'm a bit confused when you say when there's no hope for a two-state solution then.
Well, if you have a look at the maps, my friend, the Israeli settlements for the past 50 years, 56 years, have been built on all the water aquifers. They have taken all of the arable land. The number of illegal Israeli settlers, if you believe in a two-state solution, a green line, a 1967's border, they have crisscrossed and been connected by Israeli-only roads. They've been connected to the Israeli power grid. There is no opportunity for a contiguous Palestinian state to be delivered. And even if we were magically to deliver Palestine on the Green Line, 67 borders, and every settler would either become a Palestinian citizen or go back to quote-unquote Israel proper or 1948 Palestine, that would still leave unresolved the millions of Palestinians who are refugees from 48, from Haifa, from Akka, from West Jerusalem, and they're all going home. The only solution, and the one we need to be talking about, is a one-state democratic solution where the children of Abraham, irrespective of whether they're Muslim, Christian, or Jew, live on the land together. And anyone who doesn't want to live there can leave.
Okay. I see your point. Let's talk about
equality. That's all we're talking about. Equality for everyone. A separation of church and state, and equality for everybody within the river to the sea.
Okay. Whether or not that is a possibility, we will see in the coming weeks and months. We know that Blinken is headed back to the region, but we really haven't heard much from, I think, a particularly important player, and that is Saudi Arabia. What do you expect from the Blinken trip, and why haven't we heard anything from the kingdom?
Well, the kingdom is only interested in its own agenda. You know, only hours ago, metaphorically, they were taking money and guns from the UK and the USA and bombing the Houthis. The Houthis who single-handedly have played their role in abiding by the Genocide Convention, along with the South Africans, to cease, to help, to do everything within their power to stop a genocide. The Houthis have not killed anybody in their blockade of the Dead Sea. The Saudi Arabians, they're only concerned with buying sporting events and legitimizing the kingdom and delivering themselves a palatability. We mustn't forget, in fact, that this is an authoritarian kingdom. We mustn't forget the famous reporter Khashoggi and what happened to him in Istanbul. This Saudi regime is as complicit in the death and murder and destruction that's happening in Gaza as all the other authoritarian Arab regimes.
Okay. Nasser Mashni, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us here on TRT World. I do appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you so much.